Ngizolilwela izwela ngizolilwela izwela ngizolilwela bo yo yo izwela izwela me izwela me izwela me izwela bo bo be izwela ngizolilwela bo yo yo izwela izwela me izwela me izwela me.
Very often when we're trying to create change in the world, we think of ourselves and of our organizations as being at the center of the world. The reality is that we're challenging governments and corporates with so much more resources that in many ways we're on the periphery. And the only way to move closer to the center is actually by moving collectively. And so it's always about how are you building an ecosystem that brings people who can give their skills, their time and other resources, to shift forward whatever it is you want to see and move closer to the center. It's very difficult in a country of so many divisions, but right now, one of the things households have in common is to access a cell phone. So we came about thinking about how do we use this one thing that is one of the most common things to bring people together in ways that drive meaningful change. And how do we meet people where they are?
Students had their qualifications withheld by the university. This meant that over 1,500 students who had now gone through 3, 4, 5 years of studies and completed their degrees weren't able to find employment because often they found that when they were job hunting, employers wouldn't hire them without degrees. One of our members brought the issue to us by setting up a campaign on our website, a platform that allows any member to set up and launch and run a campaign that affect low-income black women. They were able to mobilize and take collective action and build a lot of pressure on NSFAS and BUT, and they were able to get BUT to release the qualifications.
The campaign asking the government to follow up on its 2011 promise to give free sanitary towels to girls in low-income schools. So that sanitary pad came about and has been seen in many different places, outside Parliament, outside the union buildings during protests with our members in Soweto, where schoolgirls were there collecting signatures. So in 2018, the VAT in South Africa was raised from about 14 to 15%. Raising the VAT meant that that's burden on low-income women. There was a campaign. Our members had made submissions to this committee of different items that they thought should be added to this list, the zero-rated list. The two that made it onto the list, sanitary pads and bread and cake flour. And so the victory for that came from our members having fought for sanitary pads. There was a national outcry. There was deep concern about the cost of data in the country. And this was visible very much on Twitter, where there was, it was driven mainly by one of the local DJs. Our concern is who are poor, low-income consumers are being charged more. And that was really how we got involved. Data was had a lot of back and forth, right? There were issues of, engaging with the formal participatory processes, but also taking it in an informal route, against the mobile, taking the battle to the mobile network operators themselves. And it is also it gives us deep insight into how corporates will push back to defend what they see as their right to profiteer, essentially. So one area in which we contributed was the Communications Authority and saying that we need regulations. A few days before the regulations were meant to be implemented, we also saw the mobile network strike back. It was a deliberate and malicious attempt to undermine hard-won consumer rights, actually. So the battle of data must fall is fundamentally also a battle of economic justice. The purpose of any organization, especially an organization like ours, is that eventually we should not exist anymore. Eventually we have a just world and have worked ourselves out of existence. And on where we would be going, I cannot answer. It is the amandla.mobi collective ultimately to whom I am accountable and who will guide for the next 10 years. Look at that.